So why explorers, right? I mean, why dive into exploration? Well, and why come up with something like photography at the edge? At the edge, you go to the edge, you can look over the edge. That's the name of the exhibition. You can also fall off the edge. You got to be careful. And then I came to explorers and surgeons. There are a lot of traits in common. And what are the main traits of explorers? Martin Dugard, he wrote a book in 2014 about explorers that some of you may know. And he talks about 7 character traits of explorers. One is curiosity. So you want to know what's on the other side, what's on top of that mountain, what's on the other side of the ocean, Columbus, what's on the other side of the moon, Neil Armstrong. And that's something that surgeons certainly also, that we want to know what's going to happen at the end of this case. Hope. Hope is the second character trait of explorers. Hope is very important. I was lucky enough to moderate a session at the Grolier Club a few weeks ago about heart transplant. So I was reading up about all these surgeon explorers who came up with heart transplantation, the surgical technique, the medical complications, the immunology involved, and then finally culminating in this pig heart that's being transplanted into a dying patient. That was an amazing experience for me to moderate that session, and you did an amazing job, really. And that was on Valentine's Day.
You were fantastic.
Right?
What could be better?
But that's hope. That's what we as surgeons and as physicians, we always hope that we're going to find a cure. We're going to find a surgical technique that's going to help our patients. Then there's passion. Passion. How can you be an explorer and not be a passionate person? How can you be a surgeon and not be a passionate surgeon? My best example for that is Reinhold Messner, who actually contributed to the exhibition. He climbed all 14 8,000 meter peaks. I think it took him 18 years or so. Nobody talks about the failures. I think he tried 40 times, 50 times, and then finally he climbed them all without supplemental oxygen. And what a passionate person, and even now that he's 75 years old, still very active, has multiple museums, and he's still very, very active. So the passion amongst explorers, but also amongst surgeons. Number 4, 7, okay, so we've got 3 more. Number 4 is courage. And then I thought, well, what about explorers and courage, and what about surgeons and courage? And then I look around and I look at the individuals that I have the privilege to work with, some of the world's most renowned and the best surgeons that there are in neurosurgery and spine surgery. Larry Lenke, he goes into the operating room for 14 hours to operate on a child with a terrible deformity. And that requires courage. If you have a brain aneurysm, patients can die on the table. Phil Steek does that every day. Eric Elowitz, in some of the spine surgeries. Dan Rue, complex cervical deformity. These patients can be paralyzed after surgery. I mean, how much more courage can you have? And then compare that to the explorers. The difference is that the explorer risk their own lives, but still, on a day-to-day basis, it requires incredible courage to do what you guys, all of you guys do. Paul McCormick, a world-renowned spinal cord, tumor surgeon. One wrong move and the patient can be paralyzed. That's really courage. So again, there's a parallel here that I don't want to miss out on, because I think it's really important. But it then also translates, I think, into everything else that we do, and other people do as well, of course, in their careers. So courage, independence. Independence is important, right? You got to do your things. At some point, you got to mature and be independent. Wilfred Thesiger, one of the artists and explorers that I'm talking about in the exhibition, he fought in the Second World War. He was British. And then instead of going home in 1945, he gave everything away that he possessed, and he went to the Saudi Arabian desert, and he spent 5 years living with Bedouins, crossing the sand desert on foot, on camel. He completely immersed himself into the life of those people. He wrote about it. He took the most beautiful pictures, and that's really independence, if you can do that, and you basically give up everything else for your passion. Self-confidence and independence. Self-confidence is important because, or self-discipline is important, because as surgeons, we know the 10,000 hour rule. You know, it takes 10,000 hours. Some people criticize that, but for the most part, that's correct. You have to do something for 10,000 hours to get good at it. And I think we surgeons do that, and we all know about the commitment that it takes to really accomplish that. And finally, perseverance. I said perseverance, and my son told me, no, it's perseverance. So I practiced with my son earlier today. So perseverance, and I was thinking, what's a good example for perseverance? And I thought, well, we've got one of the biggest explorers of our times in the room tonight. We've got Vanessa O'Brien here, who's Vanessa comes from a humble background. There's a beautiful book that she wrote. Is that available now?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, wonderful book, and I'm actually in that book.
That's why it's beautiful.
That's why it's beautiful. Well, I'm just like at the very end. I'm the guy that you're supposed to know, apparently. So Vanessa, I met Vanessa maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago at Phil Roth's house at dinner. That was before she climbed K2, but she was, you know, she had tried it before, and she was going on another try and another try and another try, and I was thinking, this woman is crazy. How many more times? You know, she's got a beautiful life in New York. She's got a beautiful husband. She's got a beautiful life. She did the 7 summits. We went down to the Mariana Trench, right, the deepest. And so she's done all these things. Why does she have to climb K2 now? But that was real. And then watching your story over the years, and then watching you on FaceTime, and then the updates, and then kind of experiencing how you succeeded, and then talking about it afterwards, was just an incredible, inspiring, you know, for me, experience in terms of perseverance. So thank you for doing that. So that sums it up. It's curiosity, hope, passion, courage, independence, you know, self-discipline, and perseverance. And then those are character traits, explorers, surgeons, but really everybody else as well. I'm sure in the art world, you know, you need to, if you want to succeed at what you do, you gotta do the same thing. So let's go back to Thesiger and Sella. What does that mean for those two artists and photographers? Well, for you know, Paolo Pellegrin, who is a photographer with Magnum, I mentioned that before. He wrote a beautiful essay, and he says that art allows for the documentation of the alien with truth rather than with conquest. And I think that's really, to me, what it comes down to, is that these were explorers. They were tough individuals. They went out there in the middle of the night, they climbed mountains, they crossed the desert, but instead of conquering, instead of bringing things back, and instead of putting the flag there with their country, they used art to document truth. And I think that's, to me, the most inspiring part, really, and really the essence of what you know, my collection and the exhibition is about. So art really to document truth instead of conquest. So that said, thank you so much for being here. It's a mixed group of people. I love bringing people together from different parts of the world, or different, you know, spheres. And enjoy your dinner, and thank you again for being here.